Hello. Thank you for having me here today as we celebrate our continued engagement through the U.S. Indo-Pacific Strategy. I apologize I can't be there with you all today in Honolulu, given my ongoing travel to the region with Secretary Blinken, but I want to thank our close friends at the East-West Center for hosting such a pivotal seminar. And I especially want to recognize my good friend, your amazing president, Susie Vares-Lum. As you all know well, the Indo-Pacific is a key focus of the Biden-Harris administration's national security strategy, and we've taken historic strides with our allies and partners to advance our common vision for a free and open, connected, prosperous, secure, and resilient Indo-Pacific region. Currently, we are in the midst of a strategic competition that will shape all our futures. It is a competition that challenges the very rules, institutions, norms, and relationships that enable freedom, peace, stability, and prosperity to flourish. And we must ensure that this common peace and prosperity continues. In February 2022, we released our Indo-Pacific Strategy, which is a comprehensive, bold strategy that articulates our shared, affirmative vision for the region and its peoples, and the steps that we're taking alongside our allies and partners to make it a reality together. We've seen that many countries in the region and beyond share this vision and are devoted to promoting the conditions that have brought about regional security and prosperity. Now, the challenges that we face are beyond the means of any one country to address. This is why we deeply value the shared investments of so many allies and partners, and we appreciate the increasing number of like-minded countries that have issued national security and Indo-Pacific strategies which feature such similar core precepts. Now, a key part of the regional architecture, of course, in the Indo-Pacific is ASEAN. As President Biden said during the May 2022 U.S.-ASEAN Special Summit, the next 50 years will be written in Southeast Asia. And our relationship with ASEAN will shape the future that we all want to see. And that's why we've elevated our relationship with ASEAN to a comprehensive strategic partnership and launched 5 new high-level dialogue processes on health, transportation, women's empowerment, environment and climate, and energy. Less than 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of traveling to Jakarta to support Secretary Blinken's participation in the U.S.-ASEAN Ministerial, the East Asia Summit Ministerial, and the ASEAN Regional Forum Ministerial. Now, as the Secretary reiterated in Jakarta, the United States strongly supports the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific, and we are strongly committed to upholding ASEAN centrality. Together, we are investing in strengthening the foundations of freedom, openness, transparency, responsive governance, respect for human rights, connectivity, prosperity, security, and resilience as we support the region's multilateral architecture and build partnerships to tackle shared challenges. The Pacific Islands, of course, represent another key focus of our strategy. Nested within our Indo-Pacific Strategy, the U.S.-Pacific Partnership Strategy, which was launched in September 2022 at the inaugural U.S.-Pacific Island Country Summit in Washington, this strategy seeks to enhance our enduring relationships with the Pacific Islands while ensuring a united Pacific Islands region with the Pacific Islands Forum at its core. The Biden-Harris administration will work in partnership with Pacific governments and peoples to ensure that they can build a resilient region prepared for the climate crisis and other urgent challenges. Now, at that summit last September, we jointly issued the Declaration on U.S.-Pacific Partnership. Together, these documents provide a roadmap for how we're working together to develop a strong U.S.-Pacific Islands partnership. And we're very much looking forward to hosting leaders from the Pacific Islands once again for a summit this fall in Washington, D.C. To enhance existing efforts to support Pacific priorities, we also established the Partners in the Blue Pacific, or PBP, together with our close partners Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom in June 2022. And since then, Canada, Germany, and the Republic of Korea have also joined the initiative as partners. The PBP is an inclusive, informal mechanism that builds on our partners' long-standing commitment to the Pacific region and reaffirms our collective support for prosperity, resilience, and security in the region. Secretary Blinken's visits to Pacific Island nations, most recently to Papua New Guinea in May, reflect our continued dedication to the Pacific. The United States is now modernizing the Compacts of Free Association via updated partnerships with Palau, Micronesia, and the Marshall Islands. And we are committing $7.1 billion to the freely associated states over the next 2 decades. At the core of our Indo-Pacific strategy, I think, as you can see, is building connections with our allies, partners, and friends within and beyond the region to create what we call a lattice work or network of strong and mutually reinforcing coalitions to build collective capacity, encourage transparency and inclusivity, and more innovatively tackle our shared problems. As a result, the United States is significantly expanding our diplomatic engagement and presence in the region. We've announced the opening of our new embassy in Honiara in the Solomon Islands in January, as well as in Nuku'alofa, Tonga in May, alongside our soon-to-be-open embassy in Male, the Maldives. We're also in discussions about our interest in opening new embassies in Vanuatu and Kiribati. The United States supports Pacific Islands Forum unity and Pacific regionalism. I am extremely pleased that our first ever U.S. envoy to the Pacific Islands Forum, Ambassador Frankie Reed, started her tenure in January and is already working closely with the PIF to strengthen and deepen our important partnership. This past year, we've made other investments in the regional architecture in the Indo-Pacific as well. For example, one consequential innovation has been the elevation of the Quad. Working with our partners Japan, Australia, and India, we have advanced practical cooperation on key issues such as climate change, high standard infrastructure, the Indo-Pacific Maritime Domain Awareness Initiative, and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. We've also strengthened our trilateral cooperation with our key Japanese and Korean allies on security and economic matters. Together with Tokyo and Seoul, we have responded to DPRK provocations, remaining prepared to deter and, if necessary, defeat any aggression to the United States and our allies. We're also working to promote human rights. Our commitment to the defense of both the Republic of Korea and Japan remains ironclad, and we have worked to enhance extended deterrence with both of these key allies. The prosperity of every American is inextricably linked to the Indo-Pacific. U.S. companies continue to be the top source of foreign direct investment in the region, with nearly $1 trillion in U.S. investments, with roughly the same invested in the United States by firms and countries in the region. Now, the U.S. also remains a major trade partner with more than $2 trillion in two-way trade with the region. These exports to and investments from the Indo-Pacific support almost 4 million U.S. jobs. We are helping to drive regional prosperity by stimulating private investment, encouraging innovation, strengthening economic competitiveness, rebuilding supply chains, promoting international labor rights, and expanding economic opportunities, including for marginalized populations. At the same time, we're also collaborating on public health crises, becoming better prepared to protect the global community from future pandemics. And as we invest in clean energy, we secure a safer world for generations to come. President Biden launched the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, known as IPEF, with 13 regional partners last year to provide an affirmative model for economic cooperation that addresses the major challenges of the 21st century, including supply chain resilience, digital transformation, and clean energy. Similarly, in June, under the auspices of AIT and TECRO, the U.S. signed the first agreement with Taiwan under the U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade, which will strengthen commercial ties with another key regional partner. As Susie and the East-West Center community know well, we are very excited this year to host APEC. APEC is the premier platform to advance economic policies in the region to promote free, fair, and open trade and investment, while advancing inclusive and sustainable growth. APEC serves an important role as an incubator of ideas from all of you, in addition to other key stakeholders from across the region that can help shape the global economic architecture. With our host year, our goal is to make APEC relevant to individual Americans, whether they're members of the private sector, civil society, think tanks, academia, advocacy groups, or local governments. And we're also very excited for the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting to be hosted by President Biden in San Francisco in November. Beyond APEC and IPEF, we continue to support regional economies by addressing the region's infrastructure gap, including via the Quad Infrastructure Coordination Group. Since 2015, Quad partners have provided more than $48 billion in official financing for infrastructure in the region. With Japan, we co-hosted the 5th Indo-Pacific Business Forum in January with satellite events in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and we were pleased to announce recently that we will co-host with the Philippines in Manila in 2024. The forum is our premier regional commercial diplomacy event and a key platform to engage business executives, senior policymakers, and stakeholders. It allows us to showcase the strength of U.S. private sector trade and investment and drive home the importance of high standard economic development, transparency, and the rule of law. Now, broad-based prosperity can only be achieved, of course, in a stable and secure region. We are bolstering regional security by strengthening and modernizing our security alliances and partnerships, increasing joint military exercises, building the ability of countries in the region to monitor their waters and cyberspace, and advancing the Australia, United Kingdom, United States, or AUKUS partnership. AUKUS builds on the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to two key priorities: revitalizing and modernizing our alliances and partnerships around the world to face the security challenges of the future, and enhancing our engagement in the Indo-Pacific. We're also enhancing the ability of countries in the region to monitor their own maritime domains, including via the Quad Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness, or what we call IPMDA. IPMDA will provide technology and training to support enhanced shared maritime domain awareness, which will promote stability and prosperity in our seas and oceans. Another key security matter in the region is the maintenance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, which is essential to regional and global peace and prosperity. The United States remains committed to our long-standing One China policy, which is guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint communiques, and the 6 assurances. We will continue to uphold our commitments under the Taiwan Relations Act to assist Taiwan in maintaining a sufficient self-defense capability. Of course, another key element of our strategy is managing our complex but consequential relationship with the People's Republic of China. Last month, Secretary Blinken traveled to Beijing, where he advanced our interests from a position of confidence. Secretary Blinken had candid, substantive, and constructive conversations. His overarching message was to emphasize the importance of maintaining open channels of communication so as to reduce the risk of miscalculation. Secretary Blinken made clear that while we will compete vigorously, the United States will responsibly manage our competition so that this relationship never veers into conflict. Implementing the core pillars of our PRC strategy, namely invest, align, compete, is working and is positioning the United States to outcompete China and maintain an enduring competitive edge. The efforts that I've outlined here today are emblematic of the broad work in which we engage across the Indo-Pacific. The United States knows that by working together with our partners, our allies, partners, and friends, that we can together ensure a prosperous and secure future for all countries and communities in the Indo-Pacific. Thank you very much.